Baldur's Gate 3 just got a ton of new info. We also got an update to yesterday's story, one that might or might not surprise you. We got a ton of new information like the release time and window, as well as some other quick tidbits for FAQ, and some additional details that will help you with a seamless transition into the BG universe. We got a lot to talk about. What's up, World Ship? You're back in with another video, and we're checking out all things Baldur's Gate 3. Okay, so let's just jump into yesterday's news. We'll talk about some of the updates there. I also went ahead and played the game for 6 hours last night. Really enjoyed it. So if you haven't already, it's probably time to just pre-order and play and set up your character. To be honest, I spent like 2 hours in character creation, so there's that too. Okay, but jumping back into the actual update on the story from yesterday, where a lot of devs were saying that the standard for BG3 was set too high for the RPG category. And these postings made it to the front page. We even had an Asmongold React video. There's a ton going around about this, which is just kind of hilarious. Especially when you look at this removal of a post from the Diablo 4 subreddit, which the Diablo 4 developer is actually in this article and even chimed in on this. So this does have to do with Diablo 4, yet they removed the article from the Diablo 4 subreddit. And this post was blowing up. It had multiple rewards. It had a ton of comments, almost 1,000 comments. It made it to all, especially when the first comment has 1.1k upvotes. Yet it was removed from the Diablo 4 subreddit for absolutely no reason at all. Don't you just love completely fair Reddit mods? But hilarity ensues, and yeah, this is what we get. Diablo 4 devs and other devs running scared because a game sets too high of a standard, yet they have access to even more tools, a higher dev team, a bigger budget. There's just no excuse. Yeah, sure, you can't throw money at a problem, but you can definitely hire the right people. It was sad to see when the same thing came out about Elden Ring. Back then, a lot of developers were saying that Elden Ring set too high of a standard. I don't think it's set too high of a standard. It's a really fantastic game, and it's near perfect. Of course, there really is no perfect game, but Elden Ring is a fantastic game, and developers should strive to reach that, especially AAA ones with unlimited budget. But in any case, it's just hilarious to see this all go around, especially when the game is really good. And especially coming from the Diablo 4 dev team, which had 10 years to make the game. But I rest my case. Moving on here, just some quick little FAQ stuff. If you have any questions, I'm going to link a bunch of stuff down below from yesterday's video if you missed that, as well as an FAQ tab here about multi-classing, some BG3 builds, stuff on the roles, the modifiers, things to kind of help you get into the universe, because it does take a little bit if you haven't played either Dungeons and Dragons or kind of like a DM scenario where you're rolling dice for certain scenario things. It's essentially the same thing as like speech checks and things like that, except this is a little bit more randomized, although you can sort of game the system depending on what subclass you play or class or even your origin story, things like that. I'm gonna have everything down below just in case you're not too familiar with the series or the kind of playstyle that this game has. For the PC Gamer magazine that we covered yesterday, there was 4 magazines that are set to be released. Right now, so far, we do have one that was released so far, or at least showcased so far of what the cover is going to be. It's got some stuff on Payday 3, and it's kind of funny, it has a Diablo 4 thing on there too. But yeah, the main cover is, of course, Baldur's Gate 3. I'll update you guys on when the rest of those 4 are out, or seemingly when they get posted. Now, we've already had some posts about using mods for the game, and if you're going to use them on launch. I probably won't use any crazy modifiers, maybe some skin stuff or some graphical updates to different things. More than likely, I'll probably just play a vanilla launch, but I'll leave the Nexus link down below in case you want to check out the mods. It looks like there's around 370 so far, which is pretty crazy to think. It's only in early access, and it has a ton of mods already that are going to be there for launch. So if you do want to mod the game or check out any of the cool mods that are there, I will link down to the Nexus below. Now, we do have that release time for Baldur's Gate 3. Now, as of right now, this definitely could change because we do have the split launch of both the PC and the PS5 version, as well as that currently Lorient Studios has not listed a specific time for the game's release yet, but it is likely to unlock around 12 AM ET, which is apparently when the Steam usually auto-releases. Now, on Steam, a developer can select any specific time they want to release their game. This was a big debate around the Hogwarts Legacy release, as the PlayStation and Xbox versions got their game a little bit early, where PC had to wait for the Steam release. And essentially, people were saying that Steam wouldn't allow them to release the game. However, Steam has a completely custom setup. You can pick whenever you want, at whatever time you want. You can also instant release if you want to. So essentially, there's no excuse on when you can or cannot release your game. However, so far, like we said, we don't have any updates on that, so it's probably just going to be the generic time for right now. Now, we do have that game file size. Now, I downloaded the game yesterday and was playing a bunch, like I said. The early access version right now is around 80 gigabytes. I believe it was like 79 total. Now, it says that they will need around 150 gigabytes free just in case. I went ahead and deleted a bunch of my old single-player games that I needed for more storage space. So I made sure that I had that free, although it looks like the full game is only going to take 80 gigabytes as well as the early access. Now, we'll preface that this tweet noting the 80 gigabyte download was from 2020. So this could just be referring to the early access, and it might actually need 150 gigabytes as that's what the Steam recommended and requirement is for the game. I would assume that it's a little bit bigger than what early access is, especially if the content is just not being locked and instead is actually a fully fledged other game. As they said, you can't really transfer your save, so that's what I would assume. So more than likely, I would expect a bigger download than 80 gigabytes, so make sure you have that free. And BG3 is still holding the top spot on Steam Seller, other than CSGO, but again, that's probably just for the crates and it going to CSGO 2. Also, Counter-Strike being for the most part a free game. So yeah, BG3 is still topping the charts and has a ton of purchases already. I know I've mentioned in my other videos, but I just want to preface really quickly that if you are playing early access, do understand that your saves from early access will not transfer over. Your progress will be entirely wiped once the game launches. I do like this that nobody gets a head start, but it also allows you to play the game and kind of understand it fundamentally. Now I want to go over some non-spoilery stuff, although it's kind of medium spoiler. It's just the amount of characters that you can play, the origin characters and the additional companion characters. These are essentially the characters that will follow you around or can join up in your party or even can end up at your camp. So there are a total of 7 origin characters. I'm not going to go over them or anything other than that specifically, as I don't want to give you any spoilers, and yeah, I would want you to have more of a organic experience. Other than the 7 origin characters, there are 4 additional characters that can be set as companions. Again, you'll run into these people at various times, so just watch out for that if you want and are curious about the companions. I'll have a link down below that describes more about them. Again, I'm not going to go into them in case you don't want to hear about spoilers, and it should be organic. Realistically, I didn't even read a lot of this stuff because I want it to be organic for myself as well. But I'll leave a link down below if you want to look into any of those companions and what they kind of are about, their origin, where they're located, things like that. And we do have an update from yesterday as a PR person labeled that elves can have beards. However, it was only related to the half-elves and not the elves in general. So only half-elves can actually have beards and not elves in general. Other than that, the shit about cover for today, although it is funny to see the discourse between these developers and really getting upset about BG3. Again, the same thing happened with Elden Ring and them getting upset. It's just funny overall. It's sad to see AAA gaming delve down in quality so much that these developers can't even compete with simple games. Although BG3 is a very wondrous game for me so far, and I've been enjoying every second that I played so far. We'll have to wait and see what happens with all of it. That does about cover for today's video. If you like and subscribe. And until the next one. Deuces.